Hi, and welcome to Untethered with Jen Liss, the podcast that's here to help you break free, be you, and unleash your inner brilliance. I'm your host, Jen, and in this episode, we are going to take reflection into action and share what you can do to prepare for an awesome 2025. Let's dive in. Hey there, unicorn. It's Jen. Welcome back to the podcast. Yes, we are back in action. For anybody who's a longtime listener, maybe this is the first episode of this podcast you've ever listened to. Gone for a hot minute. And I did a poll recently on Instagram saying, the podcast is coming back. What are you excited to hear about? And the number one answer was, where the hell you been, my bro? Where you been? And I'll tell you in this episode where I've been. I've been all over the place, and it's been a really both fun and magical and incredible, adventurous year. And at the same time, one of the most difficult years of my life, emotionally in many ways. And I've had a lot of personal growth and expansion. And I've also had some personal challenges. And so both of those things toggling with that has led to a ton of growth for me. And one of those growth moments was allowing myself to pause. And we're going to talk about a little bit about that and how my word of the year influenced that in this episode. But first, I need to tell you about something really cool that's happening on January 8th, 2025. Yes, we are stepping into 2025, my friend. Can you even believe that? January 8th, 2025, 5:00 p.m. Pacific time. I know where you're going to be, because you're going to be with me at the Word of the Year party. This is my annual party. It's so much fun. I'm going to show you why choosing a single word to guide you through the year is your very best New Year's party trick. You're going to love it. We have a ton of fun. It's one of those events I started doing years ago. I do it every year, and people keep coming back year after year after year. I always add something exciting and new to my methodology that I've been doing myself personally for more than a decade to create a word of the year that has guided me through so much growth. Y'all, for the past, I think this is my 12th year choosing a word of the year. I don't even know how I found out about choosing a word of the year. Maybe you've chosen one before. Maybe this is your first time ever hearing about that as a thing, but it's something that I do and I firmly, firmly, firmly believe in. And I think you should do it too. And I think you'll enjoy coming along the road of learning why words matter and how you can create your word of the year. So we're going to be doing that together live on Zoom. It'll be a 90-minute session. We'll do some breath work. We'll do meditation. We'll do journaling. We're going to have some fun. I'm going to do some giveaways, and you're going to want to win one of these giveaways. So come and join us. You can go to jenliss.com/2025, jenliss.com/2025, and come get in on this. It's totally free. Free for all. If you want to invite friends, please invite friends. Just make sure to send them that link, jenliss.com/2025, so that they can sign up, and then they'll get all of the reminders. If they don't sign up, then they won't get the reminders. So make sure that they go and do that. And then anybody can come for free. Again, it's so much fun, and I look forward to seeing you there. Please join me. And I'm about to tell you why choosing a word of the year can be so effing powerful, and why I think it's something that every single human should do. So without further ado, actually, first, I have some things that I need to share because I asked some other questions on Instagram to some of you, and I'm excited to answer your beautiful questions. I said, here at the end of 2024, what are the questions that are on your heart and mind? And I was curious if you had some of the same questions that I have on my heart and mind, but instead you had even better questions. And so I'm just going to answer some of those questions. The first question that somebody asked was, where did all the time go? And I have no answer for you on that question. It's a vortex. I don't know. But what I do know is that the more present we can be in every moment, whatever the moment, and to enjoy the deliciousness of that moment, it's the best moment. And I find time and time again that the more I can enjoy and just love this moment, the longer time gets, the more expansive it feels like time. is, and time is relative, right? So if we can be fully present in it and not focused into the future, it changes absolutely everything. And I know that was just a silly question that somebody asked, and I had a very real answer for you, because truly it does seem, and maybe it actually does. I'm not a physicist, and I think we barely have scratched the surface on actually understanding what the hell time is. But it truly feels like it expands when you get present. And I struggle with this as much as the next person. I'll never claim to be perfect at this or anything for that matter. But that is one of the things that I have found and that I personally have really struggled with, because I like to live in the future. I like to anticipate. It's an enjoyable experience, anticipation. In fact, they say that we enjoy anticipating more than we actually enjoy the moment, the thing when it gets here. And a lot of that, though, is because as soon as the thing gets here, we're not fully present with it. We pop to the next thing, and then the next thing, and then the next thing. And we're like this insatiable monster who's always looking for the most amazing moment in the future when it's actually right now. Imagine that. It's actually right now. So we're going to move into my word of the year as I'm answering this question, which last year, the word that I chose, the word that chose me was space. Space. The final frontier. It ended up, I didn't really want that word, but that word chose me. It showed up and it was like, space. You're going to get to see what clearing space creates for you. You're going to get to feel spaciousness. Ugh, nothing made my skin crawl more than just sitting in spaciousness. I started taking yin yoga this year. Oh, has anybody taken yin yoga? It eventually becomes kind of enjoyable, but it forces you to sit in stillness and also discomfort at the same time, because you get in this really weird position, sometimes like a frog position or some other yogic position, and there's a stretch of the muscle, and then your job is to simply sit with it and to occasionally ask your muscles and your body to relax into it, into the discomfort. And it's such a visceral experience of what space created for me. Relax into the discomfort, relax, create more space. And it's definitely brought about some things. And we're going to get to that in our reflections, but I'll continue with our questions. Somebody else asked, what was my favorite adventure this year? And I've done a lot of traveling this year. I've been going lots of different places for my job, many trips to LA. And one of the most amazing experiences and adventures was my husband and I went to Hawaii, and we went to see these manta rays at night. And I didn't really know what to expect when seeing manta rays at night, but we got in the ocean, in the middle of the ocean in Hawaii, where the waves are wild, in the middle of the night. Well, it wasn't the middle of the night, but it was dark. It was like 7 p.m. So it's dark by that time. And we get in the water, and they have us put a snorkel on, and they say, okay, now you're in the water, floating on a pool noodle with our arms holding onto a surfboard. So we're flat on top of the water. And then they say, look down, and we look down into the water, and there are 1,000-pound manta rays in the water right underneath us, just doing barrel rolls right underneath us. And so they have this light that is glowing on these manta rays, and the manta rays are just eating all this plankton that's attracted by the light. I can't even tell you. Please go to the Big Island. Please go do this experience. It was terrifying and also amazing. So that was my greatest adventure this year. Somebody also asked, what are my biggest dreams and expansions for 2025? And I say TBD on that one. I am somebody who really slows down at the end of the year, and I take stock and I reflect, and I let myself not know everything that feel like I need to know at the beginning of the year. I let it extend, And I encourage you to do this too. And it's part of why I used to schedule my word of the year party later. It was actually not even at the beginning of the year, but I found that that's when people really want to be thinking about this at the same time. I encourage you, speaking of space, I encourage you to let your dreams for next year come to fruition as they are intended to, which means you don't need to know exactly what your intentions are and exactly what you're going to accomplish in 2025 by January 1. Please do not put that pressure on yourself. I have in the past, and I have learned that that doesn't work very well. It just creates shame. It creates guilt. It creates a feeling of pressure and overwhelm and all kinds of things that are not going to serve you in 2025. Like starting your year in that energy of feeling like I need to figure it out. What do I want? And sitting in that level of stress is not supportive to your dreams. Your dreams don't love that. Creativity loves none of that. That does not put your nervous system into a place of receiving, into a place of creativity, which is in a place of love. So I encourage you to give some spaciousness to what those dreams are going to be for 2025. The final question that somebody asked me was, who are the 5 people you surround yourself that supported your 2024 dreams? And this is such a cool question. Such a cool freaking question. And I encourage you in this reflection that we do today, thinking back on this year so that we can plan in the most beautiful, most natural, most spacious way. We can plan our way into 2025. We can prepare and set course and set some aligned action for ourselves for next year without knowing exactly all the things that we need to have figured out. But one of the beautiful things we can do is to reflect. So I encourage you, if you're listening and able to grab a pen and paper, or if you've got the notes app on your phone, or if you just want to use your little brainy brain, you can take some notes along the way as we do some reflective questions. So I'm going to pose this question that somebody asked of me in my DMs. Who are the 5 people who you surround yourself that supported your dreams this year? Who are the people who supported you? Who comes to mind? Can you name 5 people? If you want to pause this episode and think about who those 5 people might be, I encourage you to do that. And I will share with you the 5 people in my life who some have encouraged me for my entire life or most of my entire life. Others are brand new. The first one that I would love to share about is my friend, Katie. She has inspired me since I was a small child. She continues to be the person who I reach out to when I'm excited about something and I want to share about something, because she will always give me the most thoughtful, optimistic, inspiring, excited response. If I'm excited, she's going to be excited for me. And what greater gift than to have somebody like that in your life? She's just such a magical human being. So shout out to Katie. And I just love her so much and appreciate she has definitely been a supporter of mine in 2024. The next person is my husband, Joey. That's probably to be expected. And at the same time, he has himself been dealing with a lot of things this year. And that's been a lot of just kind of our emotional stuff. It's put strain on ourselves. It's put strain on our relationship. He's just dealing with a lot of things and moving with a lot of things in terms of his purpose and his own growth and his own healing. And it's inspiring to see anybody who is willing to make change in themselves and is willing to look at the really hard things. And even though it has sometimes been very challenging for us, and it always is in a relationship when both people are experiencing their own levels of growth, I'm still just continuously inspired by him and always have been. He's been through a lot of very challenging things in his life and always continues to be the person who shows up with a positive outlook for everybody else. And I just appreciate that in him. And it's supported me. He holds a lot of space for me and my personal growth. And it's really helped me to expand my own dreams. So The next person is not a person. It's my dog, Alfred, who showed up for us on December 26th of last year. We were not looking for a dog. This dog just busted into our lives. And talk about expansion. Alfred and we had a real struggle in the beginning. I'll just be honest. Me and this dog, I cried on so many walks. He was so naughty. I felt like I could not get more than 5 steps because he pulled so much and he wanted to go after other dogs and he wouldn't listen and he ate socks and then we had to have surgery to have the sock removed out of his belly. And oh my goodness, y'all, this dog. And even as that was happening, I was like, how can I create space within my body, within my experience for this dog and for myself? And thank goodness. I know why the word space came to me because I'm not sure if Alfred and I would have made it. And when we ask who supported my 2024 dreams and expansion, definitely Alfred, even in the hardest possible way. The next person is a mentor of mine who I came onto her team to work pretty much full time this year, which is part of the reason for my pause in the podcast. Kathy Heller, she's an amazing human being. She just has a brand new book that just came out, Abundant Ever After. Please get yourself that book. If you don't have the funds to buy yourself that book, send me an email to hello@jenlist.com. I'll buy it for you. Everybody in my life, I hope you will seriously take the time to either read or listen to this book on audiobook. It will change your life. The way that she looks at the world is so transformative. And if more people looked at the world the way she looks at the world and the way she has helped me to start to see the world, we would live in a completely different place. And so she has literally supported my dreams in so many ways. I highly recommend checking out Kathy's book. And the fifth, I like to break rules. I've got a dog on this list, and this is not one person. It's a community of people who are growing. That is what I surround myself with that. I've been surrounding myself with that for unintentionally, intuitively, my entire life. I found Katie as a friend when I was 7 years old, and she's been supporting my growth. She's been my community. And having an intentional community of people who are all fully committed to what it is that you are committed to, whether that's your spiritual growth, your mindset growth, your career growth, your health and well-being, all of those things, by the way, are pretty much one and the same. It's your wholeness that you're talking about here. Just immerse yourself in a group of other human beings who are committed to the same thing that you are committed to. And even though I'm mostly in the space, I'm not in any big coaching communities for myself right now, because again, space. This year I created space for myself. I am coaching actively in those communities, and just being around people like that is just actual food for my soul. I feel like that manta ray who's doing barrel rolls every time I go into a coaching call and get to either lead breath work or get to do some coaching or get to share or facilitating, whatever that is. Being in that group of people is so damn inspiring for me. So if you're a coach, if you're a teacher, if you're a leader of some sort, pay attention to the people who you are leading and how that is supporting you and helping you to feel, because it's helping you to grow in ways you probably, and maybe you do frequently reflect on that, but most of us don't pause to reflect. And even I was surprised when I was going through my list of 5 people. I was like, it's actually this community of amazing people who is around me, who there's so many souls in that group. And I could name a million of them. And it's really the collective that is so supportive. So thank you for that gorgeous question. And really think about, what is it that I learned this year? Because I mentioned Katie already. As my friend Katie says, the learning, she's a teacher. The learning really comes in reflection. That's where we actually learn. We can take in all kinds of information. We can soak it up. And so many of us, if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably into self-development. You probably love watching inspiring videos, learning new things, taking in new tips and tools and learning methodologies. You're into it. You love it. You love learning about the brain. You like learning about the body, the nervous system, all of these things. And it's actually in reflecting on the thing that you pulled in to your system, the new energy that you've received, and really reflecting on how that is being embodied in your system. How is that combining with other thoughts that you already had? That's where we really, really learn. So let's take some time in this episode to really pause and notice, what did I learn this year? There were a bunch of people who had joined my Word of the Year party at the beginning of this year, and you chose a word. Now, maybe you stayed with that word. Maybe that word influenced a lot. Maybe you forgot that word and you never came back to it. That's okay. I actually have done that in the past too. When I very first started doing words of the year, I'm like, this is my word. And then by March, I was like, what was my word? And then I chose another word. And that might have been you, or maybe you just totally forgot about it. That's okay. So if you do have a word and you know what that word was, then we're going to reflect using that word. If you're like, I don't know, what would my word have even been? What we're going to do is take a nice, big, deep breath into your nose and out through your mouth. Take another big, deep breath in. Follow that breath all the way down to your stomach. Feel the expansion of your stomach. And exhale that breath. One last breath, and this one's going to land right in your heart space, in the chest, and then exhale that breath, letting it go. And just feeling into your experience of this year, what is one word or a phrase that feels like it might sum up or encompass the experience that you had this year? You can think of something that you gained, experiences that you loved, things you felt. We don't have to try to think about this, but just allow something to bubble up. And maybe it's not actually a word. Maybe you just get a feeling or a sensation that you can put a word to. You can pause this episode if you need to spend a little bit more time just allowing something to come to the surface, a word or a phrase. Taking another nice big deep breath in and letting that breath go. We're going to do a little bit of reflection on this word itself. I'm going to guide you through some questions that you can think about your responses to, or you can take the time to journal on these responses. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my word, and I'll use my word, but you can replace my word with your word. So the overarching question that we're asking here is, what did I gain in 2024? What did I gain? What am I pulling from this year that can influence everything that I do moving forward? And this will work for you whether this word feels necessarily positive or whether this word feels negative. Whatever this word or this phrase is, you're going to gain things from this. We don't have to overthink whether this is the right word or phrase. If you just came up with it, this came to you for some reason. This feeling, this word came to you for some reason. There's something for you to learn from it. We can do this with many words, but we're going to just choose this one. So here's your question. Things blank helped me to see. Things space helped me to see. Things abundance helped me to see. Things feeling hurried helped me to see. Make a list, put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and respond to this prompt. What are some things that this word helped me to see? And some of the things that I will share that I had come up. So I said things that space helped me to see. I saw where I didn't or don't leave space for myself for others, and for things that I love to do. Another thing that space helped me to see is where I don't rest. Another thing that space helped me to see is that I can create my own space. And the fifth, am I on five? Y'all are counting with me thing, because I've got a long list. If you have more than five, that's great. Thing space helped me to see is the progress I've made toward letting go of things, which is in turn spaciousness that I can feel. So for you, this will be a different word, but maybe hearing my answers can help you to jog some things that come up for you. So the first question, things that this word helped you to see. Things this word or phrase or feeling, so things space, helped me to feel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What are some things, no judgment here, that this helped you to feel? So for me, some things that space helped me to feel is a sense of overwhelm, a sense of discomfort, a sense of freedom, inspiration, and openness. So for me, there was a mix of some things that felt really vibrant. And there was also, oh my, sitting in spaciousness makes me feel very uncomfortable. So for you, this word, what are some of the feelings that helped you to experience? And this might be different. We often don't spend a lot of time in our feelings. We avoid the heck out of them. So take a few deep breaths. Pause this episode, take a few deep breaths and let this come through for you. What are some of the things that love helps you to feel? What are some of the things that feeling behind helped you to feel? What are some of the things that being challenged help you to feel? Write those down. And now our third question, because I saw these things and I felt these things, thanks to space, thanks to this word or phrase, what did I gain? What did you gain from this? Because you felt them, because you see them, what did I gain? Pause this. Number 1 through 5. What are 5 things that you gained? We're not overthinking, just let this come through for you. And I'll share mine. Things that I gained from feeling and seeing spaciousness in my life. I gained a new place to live. Joey and I decided that we would let ourselves have more space. And so we moved into a much bigger, very physical space. And because of that, we have a deck. And I've never had a deck where I could sit outside. We also have a fireplace. I'm learning the joys of just sitting by a cozy fireplace. I've never had a fireplace. Growing up, we had a fireplace that was never usable. And I freaking love having a fireplace. I love having a deck. It's brought me so much joy that I did not know that I could possibly experience in simply the place that I am living. And space created that for me because I said, you know what? Space is my word, and I get to have more space, even if it's impractical for us to have a 4-bedroom house with no children and just one dog. I am going to let ourselves move into more space. Another thing that I gained was some really cool opportunities and manifestations. One of them was getting to MC on stage. Another is getting to travel for my job. Both of those, which I'm always asking the universe for more and more of that because I love it. And I'm going to share a little bit more at the Word of the Year party about the MCing and coolest opportunities. And I'm sure I'll speak with you all about that right now, but we're going to put a pin in that one for another day. Another thing that space helped me to gain, which is not one that I would have specifically asked for, but thank you, universe, for delivering me what I need, room for extremely hard conversations. Space, I gained that. Thank you, space. Another thing that space that I gained was putting things down so I can focus on what matters. Putting things down so that I can take Alfred on a 2-hour walk where we get less than half a mile because he's being so naughty. I created space for that. I created space for this new role that I did not expect to drop into my life. And my heart told me that it's exactly where I was meant to be. I created space for many talks with Joey regarding our relationship and where we're going and where we're growing. All things that I had not planned. Space opened up. Lots of room for me to focus on that. Space opened up a learning about trust, that the space that I'm in is exactly where I'm meant to be. And a new level of trust that this is always the perfect moment, which is what I started with today. Was that 5? Y'all can count me. Maybe I counted wrong. I've got a lot more on this list. So I hope this is helpful for you. What we did is we looked at what are the things that I saw? What are the things that I felt? And from those things that I saw and I felt, what did I gain? These are new tools in your toolbox. And as silly as some of them might look on the list, it's like, oh my gosh, taking my dog for walks and taking the time for him helped me to gain this new level of patience. And I got to experience really intense feelings of frustration, and to create space for those feelings of frustration is serving me in many things that have happened throughout the year. Like, I'm so frustrated and I know that I can work through this because I did it before. And if I hadn't created the space for this new dog to come into our life, by the way, you guys, I said I would never have a rescue dog, which is, it's just, I didn't think that I could handle it. We buy new cars, we have new pets. I get something that is like unmarred because can't handle whatever scars were already there. That was always my thought process. As terrible as that might seem to some people, I will fully own that was 100% my belief. And I know that the universe was like, it's time. It's time for you to accept a marred dog into your life, this poor dog. Now to see the progress that we have experienced is just amazing to be on the other side. And I wouldn't have previously understood that, anybody even talking about that, until I experienced it myself. But now I can hold so much more space for somebody who might be going through that same thing. So for every level that we hold for ourselves, we can go deeper and deeper for other people. And I learned some very deep lessons this year. I feel like my level of trust has deepened to a whole new level. And so I encourage you to reflect on the experiences that you've had and what you've gained. It's so easy for us to look at like, oh, here's all the frustrating things that happened this year. And but it takes another level to really focus on the good that came from that. And I encourage you at the same time to focus on what were the brightest, shiniest moments in your year. What were those like tip top, really, really cool things that happened, big manifestations, big moments of joy and happiness and love and like, oh my gosh, awe and wonder. We all had some kind of moment of that. It doesn't matter if you were just looking at a sunrise and you started crying. If you're like me, I was on a walk a while back, just crying, looking at this flower because it was so beautiful. And that's a moment that I actually remember, like, oh my gosh, look at that flower, and just letting myself be there with that flower. What did you gain from that moment? Because what I gained, this is one of those memories that came up for me this year. What I gained from pausing and letting myself cry over this flower was the spaciousness to be with the joy of creation. And how is that going to influence my life in some way? Some magical thing that I can't even imagine. And now I'm talking about it here. And I encourage you to pause and just really look at the freaking beauty of the world around you, because there's just so much for us to drink up. And the more we drink up that beauty and the more we focus on the things that we learned from not just the hard moments and also the joys, and not but also, but and also because there's something to learn in every experience. And you will take that with you into the new year. Those new experiences, those new learnings, these things that you've gained are like actual things in your toolbox. Because how are you going to show up differently in the fight that you have with your spouse? Now, Joey's going to laugh at this because I still continue to show up as the same person in some things in our relationship. And I've grown in other things, I hope he'll admit. And how are you going to show up differently for your family? How are you going to show up differently at work and in your job when you have this new appreciation for a moment that you experienced, when you have this new appreciation for something hard that you went through, when you have a new level of trust, when you have a new level of surrender, when you can see the beauty in things because you know that there's so much beauty out there that is possible. If we just go through our days and we just move into next year thinking about like, what are my goals for next year? And we haven't stopped to look at those things, like you're missing out on all the opportunities of all the things that you can be bringing forth into next year. So I highly encourage you. I'm journaling resistant, you guys. I know how hard it can be to simply pause and say, I'm going to actually sit with these questions that Jen just asked. And I'm actually going to do the 3 breaths that she encouraged me to do and actually sit and journal it out, or actually just sit and close your eyes in your car in a parking lot, please not while driving, and reflect on these things because there's just so much beauty for you to take. And then you can come to the Word of the Year party on January 8th, and we're going to take that even deeper into next year, and we will set our intentions. We will get that train moving and really get it moving forward. And you've probably got other things that you do yourself. I would actually love to hear, what are your practices that you do at the end of the year? Like, what works for you at the end of the year? What works for you at the beginning of the year? That's also such an important thing to reflect on. Did having a word, was that supportive to you? I personally think it's the most supportive thing that you could possibly do. And maybe it didn't work for you, and that's okay too. What does work for you? That's something definitely to reflect on and bring with you into 2025. Although I do hope that you'll come to the party. Again, if you want to come to that party, January 8th, 5 p.m. Pacific time, jenliss.com/2025. Please join me there. And I'll have a couple more episodes that are coming out between now and then. I look forward to wrapping some more with you, getting back into the flow of regular episodes. There's so many good episodes. And I actually already had these episodes recorded, and I've been so excited for you to hear them because they're so freaking good. Even Joey, as he's editing, he's like, these are really good episodes. I'm like, I know. And they've just been waiting for the perfect moment. They've been baking. They've been taking up some space and expanding so that when they get delivered into your ear holes, it'll be at the right place and the right time. So thank you for listening to this episode. I look forward to hearing your reflections. Send me, if you want to send the things that you love to do at the end of the year, your ideas and thoughts, send them to hello@jenliss.com. That's JENLISS.com. hello@jenliss.com. I would love to hear them. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed it, I encourage you to share it with a friend. You can also share it on Instagram. Tag me. I'm UntetheredJen on Instagram. I will always reshare your post if you share. Thank you for listening again, and you just keep shining your magical unicorn light out there for all to see. Bye.